Krysta Harden. This is written up in the materials you have in the book, and I hope that you will be reading the background material that that we've given you. Some of it relates to the talks that you've just heard, but also to some of the optimism of what is exciting for us when there is recognition. So Krysta, come and tell us about your fabulous career and also how it overlaps clearly the science and the corporate side, which is great optimism for all of us. And belated congratulations on your award.
Thank you. Thank you very much. First, I want to just say thank you for what you do. I don't think we thank each other often enough, but you make a difference. You find solutions. You find cures. You do the hard work. And obviously, I know if this afternoon is just an indication of the couple of days you've been talking about, how do we make sure that we do recognize and value and highlight the contributions of women in science and in STEM. I am not a scientist. Don't play one on TV. Not smart enough to be one. Don't have any interest in it. But I work for a company in an industry that is extremely dependent on science and technology and the bright minds that help find solutions to major problems so we can feed people. My company has about 4,000 scientists, and I found the numbers that were about entry-level versus mid-level versus senior-level scientists very interesting, and I cannot wait to go, probably on the train ride home, to do the math, because I'm pretty much certain that our numbers correlate with, I was looking for you, correlate with your math as well. I have a feeling. That does not mean that there are not very bright, wonderful women in agriculture that are helping to find solutions to diseases and problems and pests, finding better nutrition, better food safety solutions, but it does thin out. And I noticed that very quickly when I left the Obama administration and joined a company and went from public sector to private, and where it is tough, frankly, I think, for a lot of leaders to stay involved. But what I will just say is I think that the awareness and the consciousness is extremely important. Us as a company, the company I work for currently is the ag division of Dow DuPont, Corteva. Next June, we will spin and be our very own company, standalone, publicly traded agriculture company, the last U.S.-based company in our sector. It's a tough place to be. It's a tough market to be in. And if you think that academia is hard for women, you think science is hard for women, I ask you to work in agriculture. It is extremely male-dominated at every level. And that does not mean there are not women doing the work. In developed countries, it's the mind-bending work of keeping the books, doing the marketing, buying the crop insurance, doing the science, making business decisions. In developing countries, it's the back-breaking work. It's the folks in the field. It's the ones who are doing the hard labor, still taking care of their families, still feeding and nurturing, making sure their kids get educated, cleaning, all that, and most are uneducated. And they've got to learn about the latest technologies without the benefit of being able to read and write. So agriculture, if anything, is one of the most male-dominated industries. When I was working on Capitol Hill and ag policy back in the day, there were no women role models for me. There was only one that I can think of, and she was just not somebody I really wanted to be like. I won't tell you why, but her nickname was Boom Boom. So just not going to be me. So I look for women to help guide me and encourage me, and they were in the oil and gas industry, another very male-dominated industry. But there was at least a group of women who taught me, cared for me, nurtured me, got me involved in investment groups, playing golf. I heard golf mentioned earlier, where a lot of decisions were made, probably still are. Doing things in a way to compete, a way to participate, a way to be, have that acknowledgement, have that visibility. Sometimes it's just plain visibility, as we've heard over and over today. And there were 4 of them, 5 of them, one is deceased, but the 4 came to my Senate hearing when I was going through confirmation. They've stayed in my life. They have been mentors. There's still people I call and say, I have a pesky personnel issue I've got to deal with. How would you handle it? There's still folks I call on to speak. A couple are retired now doing their own things, having a lot more fun in their own businesses. So there is life afterwards, so enjoy that. But they made a difference in my life, so I have pledged to pay that forward by being a mentor to young women and young men, frankly, to make sure, because we need enlightened men as much as we need women. We need men to see and value the contributions of women because they're half, right, of the population. We talk about women being half, the other half as men, and they are, as we know, so often in leadership positions. So as we're forming a new company called Corteva, Cor meaning heart, Teva meaning nature, a new ag company, we are trying to make sure that we do things differently and better. And I'm happy to be very lucky to be a part of that. On our leadership team, there are 5 women, unheard of in agriculture, that answer to the CEO, that help make the decisions to build a company. Very unusual. And it is because it is the right thing to do, but mainly because it's just good business sense. And we have a CEO who understands that and values that. I spend a lot of my time, besides being Chief Sustainability Officer, and you can imagine what that is, and a Senior Vice President, promoting women in agriculture. I travel the world. I was with 100 women in Vietnam. Again, can't read, can't write, doing the hard work in rice fields. You think your job's hard? I was out there for about 2 hours, and I was looking for the bus to take me back. It is backbreaking. It's difficult. But helping to the rest of the world to see their contributions, to see what they do. And also making sure that our labs are filled with the brightest minds. They come out of college so ready, so eager. I've been so interested to learn today to what happens. What happens to them? Why can't we keep them? It's questions you're going to help me try to find the answers to, I hope. I have a couple of young women right now who want families and feel like they can't have both. And I say to them all the time, why can your husband have both and you can't? Is he giving up his career? Changing his path? It's just questions I still don't have the answers to, and I'd love for some of you to help me find those answers. I think things are better. There are role models for people like me. I think when I didn't have any, I think the next generation does. I think we do have sponsors. We do have mentors. We do have women that we can model our careers of, we can stay in touch with, that will advocate for us, but there's still the gap, whether it's in pay, whether it's in seniority, it's leadership positions. When I went to work for DuPont, the parent company, I wanted to go because there was a female CEO, one of the handful in the Fortune 500. Guess where she is now? Not CEO of DuPont. Now, she's doing pretty well. She's serving on boards, right? She's doing well. She's making a difference in her own way. But the requirements and the expectations for her, so different. And she talks pretty candidly about that and how you don't get a second chance. The other thing I'll say, and then I'll hush because everybody needs to go, thinking about use of the first name hit me pretty right in the face. And I learned this way when I was at USDA, U.S. Department of Agriculture, working for President Obama as the Deputy Secretary. I did a series of women in agriculture events with female senators who represent major agriculture producing states. We traveled the world, frankly. Went everywhere, including their home states. And one of the senators who was chair of a major committee, a lot of seniority, talks about how she is always introduced as Debbie. Her ranking member is Senator Roberts. Every time. And I had never thought about it. And so I am very clear now to make sure I always say senator, no matter male or female. And on my own team, I have a young veterinarian, and she is Melinda, and the other people with any kind of advanced degree are doctors. So I introduce her as Dr. Sepp, and she turns red as these chairs every time. She's so embarrassed. She said, why do you do that? I'm like, because I want people to know you have an advanced degree, you have earned the title, and you deserve it. So I loved your comments. I think they were right on. It is not just in academia. There's not just one sector of our society for all of us. And as we all have women, young women in our lives that we need to be nurturing and helping, but this is just as important to me as the young men. My final story is when the Rotary Club, anybody know what Rotary Club is? It's a civic kind of thing you have in towns. My little hometown in southwest Georgia was voting to decide if they were gonna go co-ed. This is major, in a little town of 5,000, and the big civic club. All the men in my family have been members and officers and leaders of Rotary my whole life. So when I knew this was going on, somebody was talking to me about it, and I said, oh, those old coots, won't they, sorry. It's out late on Friday, I'm just gonna be candid. What is wrong with them? Why would they not have women? And the answer came back, it's not the older men, it's the younger ones. And I said, why? Because I'm thinking of my high school friends, my college friends who've come back home, probably some of my cousins, of the younger generation, remember the club. 2 reasons were given to me, right or wrong. I think there's some sense here. First of all, they don't want their wives there. It's the place they go. And they don't want the competition. They would like to have the auxiliary, or whatever it's called, to help them with fundraising, those kinds of planning events. But why would you want them in the other part of the meeting? It has really helped me be a better manager. It has helped me manage women and men differently, to think about how I make sure I communicate with the men, encourage them, don't pit people against each other, help them see us totally as one. And not just, I always, a little special place in my heart for the women, but I also think it makes sure that I spend talking and listening with a capital L to the men as well, because they've got to be part of these solutions. Enlightened men are just as important to me in some ways as enlightened women. So thank you for what you do. It's so great to be honored by the society. I have the bust in my office. It is big and it is heavy. And when people come in, they say, what did you win? The Heisman? What is this? The other thing I'll just say is I'm proud to work for a company where one of our large research buildings is named for Dr. Franklin in Iowa. And when I won the award, I had no idea. We have Carver, Darwin, and Franklin. Nobody bothered to tell me who Franklin was until I won the award. But that is something I'm extremely proud of. It's been named that for a very long time in honor of Dr. Franklin's contributions. So it's kind of cool. Thank you very much.
Let me just do the last plug about this award, and I am so grateful for you to come and share this with us, because it really is important. And if you can see it.
I'm very proud.
If you can see it, you can believe it. But I really hope that you will read her bio and her background in here. It's clearly different from many of us in the room. This is the 5th year that the Rosalind Franklin Society has sponsored this award at World Bio. And each year I'm excited to meet the fabulous women who receive this award. And we promise to do more to publicize it too, because I think it's wonderful. And thank you so much for coming to share it with us.
I think it was interesting to have a non-scientist win, because I think that the norm is that you talk to your own.
Yeah.
And you protect your own, you nurture your own. But when you have somebody like me, when I go and talk about it, and it is in my bio, and I do speak all over the world, and people say, what is that? It's very different, and your circles of people are going to know. And when I tell the story of Dr. Franklin and why the award was important to me, why it was important to my company, and all the women and the men, frankly, who are scientists who make a difference, who find cures, who find solutions, it just broadens that world. So it was unorthodox.
Yeah.
It was weird for me in a way. It was humbling. But I also think it was a bold, brave move to be able to say our circle is inclusive.
Yeah.
In a lot of different ways, not just gender, not just background, not just walk of life, but really in passion and commitment
It's important.
to science.
Thank you
So
so
thank you
much.
so much.